إن شاء الله إن شاء الله إن شاء الله.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Bilal. Thank you for accepting our invitation. We are really happy to have you with us. I want to start by asking, who is Ashley Bilal Chin, and can you tell us briefly about your life?
Well, Ashley Chin is my birth name. I was born and raised in London, the United Kingdom, and I was raised as a Christian. Spent most of my childhood in South London on a council estate, and then I converted to Islam when I was 19, and that's when I chose the name Bilal. Growing up, I was always into music, and then I ended up building a career out of that. Found myself on stage from the age of 14, winning competitions on the mic. But now I found myself on stage talking about my life and my experiences, the things I went through as a youngster. I say that I turned all my mess into my message. So I'm on stage all around the world now talking about my life and my experiences with the hope to not teach anyone anything, but inspire people who can relate to my journey. Yeah, and I'm a spoken word poet.
Can you tell us about your previous life, your life before Islam? How was that? Life in the streets, as you will.
So life before Islam on the streets is sadness. This is my earliest experience of sadness. Like, why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? Why is my mum crying? Why is my mum so angry and upset? How are we going to get out of this mess? And I remember, and this is one of my most unique stories from my childhood, there was a guy, major mental health, called Glenn, and we used to call him Mad Glenn, and he used to smell funny, his clothes were bad, and he used to come through my estate, and all the kids used to run when he was coming. Like, Mad Glenn's coming, we used to run off because he just looked crazy, like he was on medication. But my mum, as poor as she was, she always used to invite him in our house. And she used to invite him in the house, and she used to offer him like, do you want some dinner? And she'd tell him, my mum was like very straight to the point. Glenn, you smell bad. Have you had a bath today? Have you showered? Are the people not giving you? Because he lived in a mental home. And my friends used to wind me up and laugh at me and say, why is Mad Glenn in your house? Is that your stepdad? Is that your mum's boyfriend? And I used to get angry. Like, no, it's not. So I used to get angry at my mum. Why'd you keep letting Mad Glenn in the house? Until every time he's leaving, he used to say to my mum, have you got any money? Can I have £2 to just buy a drink? Can I have £1 for this? Can I have £5? And my mum, as broke as she was, she used to always be like, Glenn, look down the side of the sofa, see if there's any change, and she'd give him whatever she can. Anyway, there was a day when our electricity ran out and my mum was in the house months later. She's crying, she's drinking, she's slamming the cupboards, and I used to get scared when she's like that because she's drunk. And I remember she said, only God can help us. You better pray to God because I don't know how you're going to school tomorrow. We ain't got no money for dinner. You better pray because only God can help us. And it's like, we're going to die like this. I'd rather we just died. And I'm like, Mum, why is she saying she wants to die? So at that point, I started praying. And I remember praying for my mum, like, help my mum, God, like, just help her not be like this. Help us have some money. And then the door knocked. And when the door knocked, my mum used to say, like, don't answer the door straight away because she owes people money. It could be anyone. So I used to go to the window and I'd have a look and then I'd see who it is first and tell her, like, it's this person. So I looked. I said, Mum, it's Glenn. It's Mad Glenn. She's like, not today. She don't owe him anything. So she's opened the door. She's like, Glenn, I ain't got time today. I got no food in the house, nothing. I got nothing to give you. And he said, no, wait. She went to shut the door. She said, wait, I want to give you something. And he's like, what? He goes, I got money. They gave me £80. And you remember you always helped me. I wanted to give you £20. So my mum was like, Glenn, give me a hug. And she gave him a hug. And he gave my mum £20. But I remember thinking, I just prayed. I said, God, help my mum, give us money. And then the door knocked. And I wrote one of my poems called Signs, where I said, we was broke, prayed for money, then the door knocked. We were scared, prayed for safety, and the car stopped. There's so much weight behind it. I'm thinking about that time, like that was the first time I experienced, I prayed and the door knocked and we got money. That was an answer. So I had a tight relationship with God from then on. I used to talk to him all the time as a youngster, but I wasn't a Muslim, but I knew God exists. I went to the church.
Did you know anything about Christianity, or you were praying directly to God, to one God?
So as a Christian, going to the church every week. At Friday prayer, I never forget, we used to take it in turns to lead the prayer before we eat. She used to feed us. And I was like 11 years old. I used to like breaking rules. So when it was my turn to lead the prayer once, instead of doing an exact prayer the way we're meant to, I done like a little rap or rhyme and just, being silly as a kid, I'm trying to make people laugh. So I'm like, thank you, God, for the chips. Thank you, God, for the beans. Thank you, God, for and I'm trying to make people laugh. And then I got told off. But when I got told off, I tried to be cheeky and say, what's wrong with that? I said, thank you, God, for the food, the chips, the beans. She said, we're meant to say for what we're about to receive in Jesus' name. And I said, yeah, but I thanked God for everything. So it's the same thing. And that's when I realized she's arguing saying in Jesus' name. I said, why? But I thank God. And I think I said something silly trying to be smart. But then I started thinking, I've got a point. Because I said, okay, but is God not? And I said, all right, so you made the food, but I'm going to thank the other lady for it. How does that make sense? I'm just going to go straight to the lady and say thank you to her. Why do I have to go to you? And I told my mum about this. And it was like, you know, Jesus, the Trinity. And I started saying, I don't know, I just believe in God. So I left the church from young, 13 or something. And I was in a place where, I don't know, I just believe there's a God. That's one thing I don't need convincing about. There was uncertainties around everything else.
I was going to ask that. So you didn't know about Islam back then. So how did your journey to Islam begin?
There was a guy in that conversation, that guy I had the conversation with. He's someone I used to look up to on the streets when I was on that estate and we didn't have much. This is that guy that used to drive a convertible with the big chain and the gold teeth. And he used to come on a motorbike doing wheelies, and as kids we'll be like so surprised, like, that guy is the coolest. I used to even lie and say, yo, that's my cousin, that's my cousin. And everyone's looking like, don't lie, he's not my cousin. But he was so cool, I wanted him to be my cousin. Now, I started my music studio with his younger brother. So we've got a studio in the loft of his mum's house. Now, I hadn't seen the older brother, the one who used to drive the motorbike and the cars for years. And one day we're in the studio, we're older now, we're 18 years old, we've got motorbikes now, we fulfilled our dream. But where's your older brother? I haven't seen him for years. And it was one day he said, my brother's downstairs. And then he comes upstairs and he comes, knocks on the door, opens the door, and he's like, he looks at us. And I'm expecting him to say, yo, you look all right, whose motorbike's that outside, da da da. But he just says to his younger bro, turn down the music, please, 5 minutes, and leaves. Then he comes back in and he's like, yo, turn down the music, 5 minutes, please, and leave. And he does that a few times throughout the day, but he doesn't come in and address us much. He's distant. I didn't know what he was doing, but now years later, I know why he was telling us to turn down the music. His older brother had become a Muslim. He's downstairs praying, and he don't want to hear the doof, doof, doof while he's praying his salah. And then one day, how I know he's a Muslim, he comes in the room and he addresses us. And now we're young men, and there's a transitional period. The early stage of our life is ignorance, but we get to a stage where we have to decide, what are we doing? Like, why are we here? What are we living for? So he's saying, what are you lot doing? What is your purpose of life? So I took that question quite serious. And he said, you lot not believe in God? I believe in God. I'm saying, yeah, I believe in God, of course. And he says, you come from a God. When you die, what do you think happens? I said, you won't know, it will be black. He says, you come from a God, and after you die, you're going to return to that God. And you're going to have to stand and account for everything which you've done while you was here. So right now, while you're here, you're being judged. You're being tested. So it's like the angels are writing down everything. And when he was telling us that, I'll never forget this part when he's saying the angels are writing down everything you do, what you do in public, what you do in private. So what's your day of judgment going to be like when you're called to account for that which you done? You done this, you done that, you done this, you done that. I'm saying, boy, my day's going to be mad. I just wanted to clean it up a bit. And that was the beginning of my journey to Islam.
Then how did you come closer to Islam and accept it finally?
The guy said to me, now that you're taking these steps towards Allah, Allah's going to come running to you. I didn't understand what he meant at the time. But over the next few months of my life, everything he said made sense. I said, I just believe in God. The guy said to me, look in the dictionary what a Muslim is. You sound like a Muslim. Just believe in God. The final message from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is go back to the original state, worshipping God alone. And if you accept that as your religion, you are Muslim. So I realized that's what I'm closest to. A religion I knew nothing about was now everywhere, all around me. Everywhere I turned, I was just seeing Islam, Islam, Islam. It's like the signs were just coming to me. I'd go to park my motorbike. I used to ride a motorbike sometimes outside a shop. And I'd say to the guy that I always see there, can you watch my bike for me? I'm just going through the market. But today he says to me, yeah, I'll watch your bike, but do me a favor, take this. And he gives me a pamphlet. What do you know about Islam? I was like, what's this? What, are you Muslim? He says, yeah, but I'm here all the time. I thought he just sold those sticks that smell nice, but he had a whole dawah stall. My first time I engaged with him. So I took it and I said, yeah, I'm learning about this. I'm interested. I was driving in my car and there was music I used to listen to and these MCs that used to rap. I used to listen to them all the time. But now I heard one of them was saying things differently. He was saying, Inshallah, we reached the Jannah, never drive the devil's car. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. And I started saying, oh, I've heard this so many times, but I didn't know what he was saying. But now that I've been speaking to a Muslim, so now I'm driving and I'm listening. I'm going, he's speaking like, so now I realize he's a Muslim. So now it's like it was everywhere. It was all around me, this religion. And then I started to research it more and more. And I would go back to that same guy and speak to him. And to be honest with you, I didn't need much convincing, because as soon as I understood that I was created by God and I accept that, I also accepted that whoever created me must know what's best for me. It's very simple. Like if we have a camera here, I just think I buy that camera, so I own it. But it doesn't mean I know better than the person who made it.